Hey guys, this is Hell Hades. This is a Raid Shadow Legends video. Guys, we've got this ability, if you've got some Void Shards sitting around, to get yourself a guaranteed DEMYTHA today. 25 Void Shards to do it, and I think she is one of the most game-changing epics that you could get. Now, I want to do a video showing you an absolute budget version of how you could use her and get started in Clan Boss like straight away. Trouble is, I don't have RS. I've probably had her 7,000 times, honestly, and that's not even exaggerating. I've had her so many times, but I haven't kept a copy of her for whatever reason. So I'm going on the farm. I'm going to get her, and then when I get her, I'm going to show you some budget Clan Boss options with DEMYTHA and RS together. Okay, I'd say I've been relatively lucky there. 240 energy down the drain, but I got myself an RS farming the Palace of Arabia here. So we've now got ourselves two of the champions we need to make this comp. Okay, I've leveled her out. I just need to make sure that this A2 is booked. We do want this to be a 100% chance of placing increased speed for all allies. So I guess if you want to be conservative with books, you would just go 4 books at a time until, or 4 books at first, and then you're like, no, I still need 2, so go 2. But rare books, I don't know really. I mean, I've got a bazillion of them, but then they're probably a little bit harder to find nowadays. If you can book her out, then I would book her out and just get the extra damage. But we're going to do it without fully booking her in this video because we're trying to go budget in this video and trying to help people kind of build a team with their new DEMYTHA. So RS booked out on the A2, which is what we needed. Yeah, so DEMYTHA will need to be booked out on the A2 and A3. The A1 doesn't matter, honestly, and there's so many books in the A1. You just kind of need to get lucky and hopefully land the books elsewhere before that A1 starts eating up all of your book supply. This is probably the worst thing about DEMYTHA, is she loves to read about this kind of shielding mechanic, whereas we'd prefer her just to read about block damage. Now, the options are actually great when it comes to DEMYTHA. It might be that you've got Deacon, it might be you've got Seeker, it might be you've got the pair of them, it might be you've got Man-Eater. There's a whole ton of different options around comps you could run. I'm going to try and go for the most accessible one that I think exists. There's one other that may be more accessible, which is running 2 Painkeepers alongside these two. But it does rely on you having 2 of the same champion, which you might not have yet. So we're going to go with the free login champion Haikatoon as one of the champions. And we'll go through all the stats you need in a second. But yeah, Haikatoon is going to give us a speed lead and is also going to give us a second speed up ability. We're also going to go with Seeker, who is in my lineup here somewhere. Seeker gives us another turn meter throw. So the only thing with DEMYTHA ability here of putting that block damage out, we need it to come out at the end of every cycle of a Clan Boss turn, so that every time the Clan Boss comes with a smack, we can't take damage. So you'll notice here we've got RS boosting speed, we've got turn meter boost and speed boost from Haikatoon, and now we've got another turn meter filler in Seeker. Those 3 champions are giving us enough turn meter fill to get back to DEMYTHA's 3-turn cooldown ability of a block damage at the end of every turn, which is kind of nuts. So yeah, Seeker is going to be the 4th champion. And then the 5th is a bit of a fill it with whoever you want. Somebody who is going to do damage. The absolute best case is if you bring a Force Affinity champion, which is the same as RS. And the reason for that is you absolutely do not want RS to take a stun. Anything else is fine. Like if you get decreased speed on the Spirit Boss and stuff, it's fine because RS will just cleanse it away at the start of each round with this ability here. So she removes 1 debuff from all allies. Equally, she's going to remove that stun. But if she's stunned herself, she can't do it. So the only way to make this 100% affinity friendly is if you've got a Force DPS. So the challenge you're going to have is who would you use, okay? There's a couple of good defensive base ones. So Razin, for example, is I'd say farmable. You might take a while to get him, but you can get him through the farmable fusion. Razin can do some work here, but you don't have an increased defense buff. So in terms of his hits, it's going to be hard to get him to like maximum damage. We do have, in the same kind of vein, Drekthar, who will put burns out there and do damage through burns. It's not bad. There is Alika, who does a lot of damage, but ideally you want to run the comp where instead of Seeker, you're bringing Deacon. And then that way you're going to have drop defense on the enemy. And then Alika will start to absolutely smack. And I think Saf's done a couple of videos using her. There's a few others as well. I mean, Geomancer is going to be your kind of top tier pick. Will bring Weaken. You won't have drop defense in the team. So again, works better in a variant where you're using a Deacon as well. But yeah, you basically, if you're not using a Force Affinity champion, then you've got a chance of being of it just going wrong on Spirit Affinity specifically. I was actually looking at Gerda Bogbrew, could be quite interesting. She brings a Weaken, she brings Poisons, and she's a logging champion, but she's quite late down the line in terms of logging champion. So I figured wouldn't be great for this video. There's one that I want to try. I'm going to try it in this video. Aethar. So he's a poisoner. He's got some good levels of poison and could be a decent option because we're not bringing a drop defense or a weaken here. So I'm going to try Aethar in this team and just try and get back to his A2 as often as I can. The other one who Razin's interesting and Nishak is interesting as well. So I think what I'm going to do is run all three of them and see what their damage difference looks like for the end of the video, just so you've got an idea of different ways of doing the damage. Okay then, so let's have a look at the comp here, and I'll share this link down below so you can just kind of find it. Do be aware on this Deadwood Jedi site, like if you've got certain speeds that are just a bit out from mine, it could ruin your run. Yeah, or it might be you've got the exact same speed, but you've got more speed sets than me. It could ruin your run. So make sure, if you're trying to copy this, you pump your exact speeds into this calculator, and then you click on the speed button, and then you tell it how many speed sets you've got. And I'll do this once I've built my team out. Okay? But basically, we've got here a 295 speed DEMYTHA, 267 RS. Those two speeds are quite high. I get that. The DEMYTHA speed is high. There are comps where you can have a much slower speed. The double Painkeeper one, for example, is a much slower DEMYTHA. But this one is way slower for the other three champions. So 198 speed high Katoon, very easy to get to. 172 on whoever your DPS is going to be. And then 185 on your Seeker. So those three speeds, very easy to achieve. RS, not too bad, but probably needs to be a 6-star champion so she gets a banner with some speed on it. And then the DEMYTHA speed, I'd say, is quite tough to achieve. And I would say it's worth destroying any other teams that you've got to get your clan boss stuff working. So that's really important. Like, get your clan boss to a point where you are killing it every day, maximum Ultra Nightmare chest, with ideally with 3 keys, and then your world becomes easier in Raid Shadow Legends because you just get loads of rewards every day. So how this works then, RS is at the top of the order every turn. See this? So every time what she will do, she'll come in and she'll A2. That A2 will cleanse away any debuffs from your team, and she'll also apply the increased speed buff. Yeah, so if you're against Spirit Affinity, we can flip it to Spirit here. Then even though you get decreased speed on you, she cleanses it away straight away, and it's as if it was never there. Yeah, if you get a stun on anyone apart from RS, she cleanses it away. It was as if it was never there. She's such a good farmable rare to enter you into Clan Boss. There's better versions once you get better champions, but she's extremely good. The other main point of this is that with all this turn meter stuff that's going on, DEMYTHA at the end of every turn will apply her block damage ability. So the Clan Boss cannot hurt us. We take 0 damage. We'll have to set up some specific masteries which are good for taking 0 damage. Yeah, so we maximize that. And everyone else in between is either pushing more turn meter and doing their hits, or your damage dealer, whoever you choose, is just going out there and throwing as much damage at the wall as they can. Because ultimately, the only damage we've got here is War Master hits, Seeker can hit hard, and whoever your DPS slot is. I'm just going to come with one other tip before I show you builds here. If you choose someone who is a Poisoner, great. Poisoner is the way to go. It's a good way of doing consistent damage. Aethar, I think, is going to do good work. And you just kind of do normal builds for everyone else. Like you would do a damage build for Seeker, for example. If you don't bring a poison, let's say you bring the Raz in with no poison, you've now got 0 poison in your team. I would suggest that one of your champions is built in toxic gear. And whether that is your heiress, if you can do it, that would be a great choice. Because heiress is going to be counter-attacking with our A1. So heiress with toxic gear, brilliant, but she's quite quick. So that might be hard for you to do. So if you can't do it on heiress, then I would suggest you do it on High Katoon. And she's quite a slow build. The toxic damage, that poison damage, will be more than if you just built her to smack. Okay, so in terms of masteries then for DEMYTHA, I like to run just quite a basic clan boss mastery. This is one of the important ones, so you do more damage when you've got full HP. I will say it though, DEMYTHA doesn't really get any hits in. She doesn't really do any damage. The only other important mastery really is coming down here into War Master, which is where pretty much all of her damage is going to come from. Now, some people will take Steadfast here for a bit of extra protection. Steadfast looks like a buff to the clan boss, and it's one that he will avoid if everybody is equal. Therefore, she is unlikely to take a stun. You could also, I'm just trying to think here what else I would take. I would probably just come down here, come down the middle. The main other thing I want is Laura's Steel to get additional speed because she's got a high speed build. So they're kind of like the 4 that I want. You definitely don't want to take Cycle of Magic. You definitely don't want to take any of the kind of ability enhancing speed, enhancing debuffs. Most people would either come into this, but if this starts kicking in, then your comp has failed. Yeah, but it doesn't really matter. Anything else doesn't really matter. I could take this even though I know she's not got any debuffs, just so I'm not going to mess anything up. And then down here, similar sort of thing, really. None of these matter. But if you just want to get rid of those red dots, you could just come in a straight line, straight down. Yeah, so some people would come to the website, hellhades.com, and they'd be like, your masteries look weird for DEMYTHA. That doesn't help her. And it's like, I know, but nothing does. So there's literally no gain. The only things you don't want to do is like push additional turns on buffs and stuff like that on people where it throw your speed tune out of sync. It's more of a watch out of don't select stuff rather than what you do select. Okay, so that's DEMYTHA's done. Let's do heiress as well. And just checking here. I think it's basically the same thing. So same offensive. Again, Steadfast here. You want this because she definitely doesn't want to take a stun. Okay. So Steadfast is good here. If you can get her in toxic gear, then this actually does work with gear sets. So it does say here, look, sniper, enhanced chance to land debuffs from skills or artifacts. So it's quite a good one to come down into. And again, Laura's Steel is going to help us get our speed requirements. So coming down into sniper is nice. You know what? I don't even know if this works. I think it does. I think this would also work with artifact sets, but I'm not 100% sure. Otherwise, we just take filler stuff, and she is good to go. Okay, so Seeker, let's just rework his masteries as well. I mean, this mastery setup for Seeker that I've got is absolutely fine. Again, this is if you're going to build him in toxic gear, this would be a great setup. The other good one you could do is to come in, and it's probably the preferred one for me. I won't change it, so it'll cost me gems, but basically come in this defense tree down here. This deterrence here does still have a 20% chance to proc when someone is taking a stun. So more hits that you do, the more damage you get away. So I would probably come in this, even though the rest of the defense tree is pointless, deterrence is actually pretty useful. But either way, really, doesn't matter a lot. If you're short on gear, then Laura Steel might just help you a little bit. And if you're going to run in toxic gear, then I probably would go with this build with this kind of support tree coming through. High Katoon, just going to change up mine here. Basically going to be running the same as I just mentioned there. So coming into War Master is important. Grabbing the Heart of Glory is important. And then because I don't really want to be messing around with her, again, if you're going to run her in toxic gear, you come down here. If you're not, then I just want extra chances to hit. So we're coming with this deterrence ability and run that straight down. And it's going to be similar on whoever you use for your DPS. So it depends what you're doing. You might run support tree just because you want those debuffs to go on for longer. But we are on a 2-for-1 speed comp. Yeah, so it means that we get our abilities away a lot. If, for example, instead of feigning here, we've got, let's call it Razin. You'll see Razin. What's going on? This is what happened. See that? I put Razin in. It fell apart. The whole speed tube went to pieces because Razin is naturally slow. Yeah, so I actually need, compared to the feign, 1 more speed on Razin to make this work. This is where people fall apart. 1 speed can kill a speed tune. Look at that. Yeah, so it depends on who your champion is and what their base speed is as to what you need. That's why I was saying make sure you pump it into this tool depending on who you're using. And if it looks weird, if it doesn't look like this, try just throwing whoever you've added in there up 1 speed or down 1 speed. So if you see here on Razin, he goes A2 here, A1, A1, A2. So every other turn, he's dropping a fresh A2 with his decreased defense and weaken. You want decreased defense and weaken on all the time that Razin's in your team. So what you could go support tree and try and extend it, but it looks like we're going to have it up all the time anyway, in which case you're better off just going defense tree. So for someone like Aethar, who's landing poisons, if we've got Aethar in this spot, and we want him to do his A2 as often as possible, and basically we're going to say don't ever use your A3, then A2 here, A2 back here, A2 here. Like it's a bit sporadic. And because we want to get as much poison as possible here, it's a 4-hitter. Each hit will place poison, but we want to keep as much poison on the boss at all times. So it might be that you go support tree with an Aethar and have the chance to just land poisons for longer. The Master Hexer here gives us a 30% chance to just put poisons on for a longer duration. So that's what we're going to pick with Aethar. You can also go with your DPS, Cycle of Magic, to try and get the cooldown of that skill back as often as possible. With Aethar, what you're going to see that I do is I'm going to try, if I've got them, and run refresh accessories so that we get his A2 back whenever it is possible to get it back. Nothing else here makes any difference whatsoever. So we just take one. Doesn't matter. Okay then, so I'm going to come to the optimizer here and show you how I would do these builds. You can either go into the team optimizer. It's not a bad way to do it, honestly, and just grab the champions you want. So we can grab DEMYTHA. I'm using my second one, not the one that's got all of the fancy stuff on. Grab our RS. Obviously, I can do this just by eye as well in game, but the optimizer does help me do it in a more kind of just a better way. Seeker. We're grabbing Piker 2. And then last spot we're going to grab for the first build, Aethar. Okay. And then what we do here, so we need to go in and basically tell the optimizer what we want for each build. Now, normally what I would do is I would choose balance. Normally what I would do is I would choose damage mode for everybody because we're unkillable. If you're unkillable, you might as well get as much damage away in the time that you've got as possible, okay? But I know that my gear is good compared to your gear. And even nearly everybody that's watching, that's true, okay? So my DEMYTHA, I'm going to pretend that I can't go damage mode. I'm going to go balance mode and just say, reset anything I had before. Just say, give me the speed that I need, okay? That's all I care about on DEMYTHA. It's the hardest build. I want that 295 speed. Nothing else is important. I do need to tell it one other stat that is important. So she doesn't need accuracy. She doesn't need anything else. For the sake of this video, I'm going to say, just give me more health. But normally what you would do is you would say, try and give me crit. Try and give me crit damage. Because you want to build as much damage as you can. With DEMYTHA, it doesn't matter so much because she just doesn't hit hard. But that's DEMYTHA. RS, same sort of thing really. We're going to go balance mode here. And we're going to say, reset her, balance mode. And we're going to say, give me the speed that I need. Because again, it's a hard build, 267 speed. She doesn't need accuracy. She doesn't need anything else. In an ideal world, she is your toxic champion. Because she doesn't really do a lot of damage. And her A1 sorry, a passive makes a counter attack. So in an ideal world, she's your toxic champ. Seeker, I am going to say Seeker come in damage because Seeker hits really hard. Or if we were doing balanced, just to prove a point, then I would say at least give me 100% crit. But Seeker, we're going to put in some damage gear. I want him to be at 185 speed. Doesn't need accuracy. So literally just tell it. That's all I need to tell it is we want a damage mode. We want a damage build. Everything else now is up to you, Optimiser. I don't need to tell you any more information than that. High to tune. We're just going to go balanced again because my gear is going to be too crazy to show you what I could do. But basically, high to tune, we want a 198 speed build. I don't need any accuracy because I'm not trying to drop their turn meter. But I will say on this one, give me some crit rate and then maybe give me like 150% crit damage. Yeah, otherwise just give me health. That's not what you'd do. You would say damage build. Okay, that's what you would do. But I'm just trying to keep my damage down a bit. And then Aethar, again, we're going to go balance mode. You would normally go damage mode. In fact, maybe I will go damage. Let's go damage on Aethar. So I actually don't know what he can do. Quite interested to see what he can do. So we're going to go damage mode. I need him to be at 173 speed. I do need accuracy. So I need at least, let's call it 240 accuracy here to get his poisons away. And for him, I'm going to do something a bit different. So I'm going to say, find me gear which is in reflex. So reflex means that we're going to get back to our A2 more often. Yeah, I want to get back to my A2 as often as I can. In fact, in game, let me just see if I've got refresh accessories here. Refresh accessories like this. Is that all I've got? Got banners as well. So yeah, so as many refresh type of things that you can do, it's worth doing. So I'm actually going to say, give me, just roll that one up to level 12. I'm going to say, give me 2 refresh items. So down the bottom here, I can just say, give me refresh, and I want 2. Okay. I put the speed in, didn't I? I put reflex. If you've got some decent amount of glyphs laying around, especially for this DEMYTHA build, you can come into this glyph section, just go into the basic area and just say whatever you've got. So I don't think I've really got glyphs, honestly. My account is running dry. But you can look into here, go into enchant and be like, right, if you've got like a bazillion 1-star glyphs, then you can just say, look, I can add 1 speed to everything. Yeah, and the optimizer will then look at gear that's not glyphed yet and assume that you can glyph it. And you can do that across the board for all champions. You could do it for accuracy as well. You could be like, I can give my champs at least 4 accuracy. This is where the optimizer becomes very valuable because it starts to find gear that perhaps you wouldn't find. So we're going to optimize here. I just need to find, it tells you if I've got an issue. Just need to find some stats for her. Optimize. What I would always do here, you kind of set the priority of who you want to optimize. If you've got like a struggle with speed, always put the fastest champion at the top. Yeah, so DEMYTHA's going to be first, then RS, and then after that, I don't really care too much. I hit start, and it will start optimizing, and then we can kind of see what sort of builds it's going to chuck back at me. Normally takes here, you know, best part of probably 45 seconds, no, maybe 30 seconds to do the full 5 champion optimization if you've done it well. If you've put some weird stuff in, sometimes it can take a lot longer. It will have a little star here if one of the builds doesn't work. But you can see here, it's kind of kicking back speeds and builds. And trouble I've got is it's going to kick back off of my champions that are actually strong. So if it does this for you and you're like, oh, hold on a minute, I don't want to take from people, you can just change your global settings. So I can actually go back to options here on the right and just say include equipped artifacts. I don't want to do that. Don't take from anybody that's got stuff equipped already. Only take from my loose stuff. You, though, generally you will want to say include everybody. Yeah, that's generally what you will want to do. So we're going to go back in, optimize try again and see what we get. Yeah, I don't really want to strip people bare for the sake of this video. Again, because what it's going to do is it's going to find an extremely good gear. And I don't really want to show you the builds with extremely good gear if I can help it. Okay, so we've got our speed here. We're a couple of speed. Oh, we're one speed over on this build. If you see this, 296, I wanted 295. The optimizer will generally find what's close to what you need or exactly what you need. But what you can do is just go back into the Deadwood Jedi site tool and just up the speed by 1 and see if it breaks anything. Does anything change? And also look at what sets it's giving you. So it's giving me 1 speed set here. So I go back into the tool and I say, hold on, 1 speed set. And she has got Laura's Steel. Yes. Is anything broken? No. Okay, good. Move on to the next champion, Heiress. We've kicked back 268 speed, 1 speed set, 1 perception set. So we're actually 1 more speed. It's broken. I can't do it. Okay. This is what you need to do if you're trying to follow this type of guide. So 1 more speed on Heiress is no good for me. I just noticed here, it's actually, this one's stealing from people again. Hold on a minute. Did I not do it right? Hold on. I think what I did was I did the options just for DEMYTHA. I'm going to leave this in the video because you know what? You might all run into the same problem. I need to go in. I'm sure I can copy this to everybody, but me being a fairly low-level brain, we're just going to click on everybody individually and say, don't take from anyone else and go again. But I think that was good to leave in the video, especially because you saw how temperamental changing 1 speed can be. I feel I need to leave it in because so many people comment down below on these videos saying, I tried to copy it and it doesn't work. It doesn't work probably because of exactly what you've just seen. You're 1 speed out on 1 champion. Okay, so 296, fine. 269, I think it's going to be over again. Yeah, so I'm going to need to pull that back. Seeker, 186. It's fine. Picatoon, 198. It's fine. Let's check the sets here. And then Aethar in the reflex gear, 173 is fine. So all I need to do, I can build these builds out. The Heiress build is giving me too much speed by a couple. All I'm going to do is just manually find a piece of gear that's different. Okay, but you might want to go back and just pull back the speed numbers a little bit on Heiress. Yeah, or you could go back and just say, you know what, on Heiress, in fact, I'll do it now. I don't want any flex. I just want it to be 267. You see here, it comes in at 267. Now, I wouldn't say that's the best way to use the optimizer. I would say just having the minimum speed is better because you get more of a variation of builds and often there is room for maneuver on these speed tunes up. Often there's room, but you just need to check it. You just need to check that it's working right. Quick tip here, with someone like DEMYTHA, it does not matter actually what the type of banner is. Like if you're just trying to get to the speeds that you want, it doesn't matter what the banner is. If you've got stuff sitting around with like speed substats, just roll it up and see if you can hit high speed because the speed is the biggest barrier for this comp and it's DEMYTHA's speed. The only thing you don't want is refresh accessories on a DEMYTHA. Otherwise, anything goes, just get your speed. I'm going to leave everybody without the other 2 accessories for this vid just so you can kind of get a better feel for damage numbers without my crazy gear. Another little tip, really, if you're not using the optimizer and you're just trying to get to certain speeds, you could come in the fitting room here. I know that I want to be on exactly 267 with Heiress, so we're just going to wait until we get a plus 15 or something close on the banner, and then I can kind of glyph the difference. I know because the tool is telling me I can't be over. I don't want to refresh, so I'm literally just flicking through till I find something which is workable. Like this could be workable if I can glyph the difference, but ultimately you're just trying to find. This is if you're not using an optimizer, you're just trying to find something that works. So this would work nice. I could just get a +2 on it, and that would just kind of get the final bit done if I don't have one that's exact. So I'd end up basically doing my upgrade first. No point in equipping it if you can't make it work. I don't have a +2 glyph. So, you know, I'll be chancing my arm at a +3. Got lucky. It goes on. But hopefully just got what you need. And then we get ourselves up to the 267. I've deliberately putting on worse gear than the optimizer's telling me because I'm trying to keep numbers down. So we just got a bunch of random stuff here for RS, but the speed is what's important on RS. So I do actually use Seeker already in my clan boss team, and his speed works at 187. He's in toxic gear right now. So all I'm going to do is just flip his boots into non-toxic for Aethar, and then we'll put him back into the toxic gear for the other fight. So I'm just looking for attack percent with speed on. I need to get 10 speed here. Ideally. Or around 10. 9 should work fine. Okay, so got rid of his toxic build, but the rest of it is the same as it was. I guess I'm going to leave him in a damage build just so you can see. I mean, his crit rate is low. Just so you can see what sort of damage a Seeker can do. I'll keep his crit rate low, but Seekers can do pretty nutty damage. So I'm going to let you see that. So that's Seeker build. I guess for High Cartoon, I'll show you, if I wasn't using the Optimizer and I just wanted a basic build, what could I do? You know, I'd be looking for, so we're looking for 198 speed. Yeah, 198. So ideally what I'd be doing is just getting into my gear. I'd normally choose my banner first. So it depends what you want to do. If you've got good gear, you might be looking for an attack banner, because ultimately the more damage you can do for this fight, the better. So you'd be looking at attack. Just move me a bit so you can see this stuff. You'd be looking at attack with speed, substat, and attack percent. And you'd be like, do we own any? Do we own any on equipped? Yes, I do, but I don't want to take from him. So, okay, well, can I do it without an attack percent? I don't have it. Do I have one without speed? I don't want to refresh. So we then move away from the attack banner and we just find something with good speed. Yeah. And I've got here this HP based one. Doesn't really matter what it is. It could literally be any one, defense one, whatever. Fine. That's got more speed on it. Great. And we then move on to the kind of rest of the gear. So we go into the fitting room here. Ideally, I'd kind of start with the gloves and be like, right, can I find some crit rate gloves with speed on them? Ideally, we're getting to 198 speed, so it's actually not that fast. But we could throw those on. I could be like, right, I'm going to want some speed boots. If you've got good gear, you would be going attack percent boots, attack percent chest, and finding speed elsewhere, because 198 speed is very easy to get to, honestly. Get your speed boots, though, with some crit rate on them, maybe. Ideally in some sort of damaging gear, like crit damage gear or something like that. Cruel gear. Put those on. We're already at 186, so I don't have a lot of room for more speed. We might go with an absolute baby build here and show you what it can do. So we're just going to go with a shield with speed and crit rate on it. That gives me 11 more. Try that on. So now I'm at 197 and everything else is fine. And again, if I go to the optimizer at 197, does it break my speed tune? No, it's absolutely fine. So that is going to be, equip that. That's going to be my budget High Cartoon build. 4 items. Because she's got the speed she needs. I don't care about anything else. I've got some crit rate in there. Let's see what she can do. Okay, last one to build then, Aethar. Okay, and then we've gone budget on Aethar as well. So we needed the 173 speed, super easy to get. We ended up with crit rate on the gloves, attack percent on the boots. We've got some budget perception gear here with attack, accuracy. All I want to do is hit my accuracy numbers, hit my reflex gear here, but you don't have to do that. That's just like a bonus. And then I've got some refresh accessories. What I would suggest, if you're a bit short on accuracy like I am right now, just kind of like try and glyph up the difference as best you can with your kind of glyphs. Make sure, you know, this is where glyphs come in when you're doing these big rebuild type of things. Make sure you get those glyphs on there just to give yourself that edge and get yourself as close to the numbers that you need. Yeah, it's nothing worse than seeing a load of resistances, resist popping up. So that is the AFR build, 173 speed. Got some crit rate in the build, some attack, and we got some accuracy. I'm also going to build the Razin now. I'm going to build out the, who's the other one? Nishak now as well. So I guess thinking about it, Nishak's going to be similar to Aethar here. He's just a straight poisoner. We've got accuracy. You could go high crit rate, high crit damage. He will hit hard as well. I've just left plenty. Maybe should I pump some crit so at least he hits? Maybe will. It's a slow build. People should be able to get a slow build with some crit at least in their build, I would have thought. So let's just find somebody here with a bit of crit. What's an item with a bit of crit? Ideally no speed, please. Good. So at least we get ourselves somewhere and maybe a bit of crit rate on the crit rate and crit damage on the item here as well. Let's change this one up. You know what? The trouble with being a content creator, I do this type of video, and what I've done here is just completely destroyed my Nishak build for one-shotting Bommel. So that's gonna, next time Bommel comes up, I'm gonna be like, what was it again? Anyway, Nishak here just built to do a bit of damage whilst landing his poisons. He needed to be a little bit slower than Aethar to make the speed tune work. Again, like I've spoken about already. And his masteries will be completely wrong. So everything I've set up for my Bommel shenanigans changing up. I only really need him to do Giant Slayer, this, everything else I think is fine. I mean, you could, again, because he's got that A1 that puts out bombs, you might want him to counterattack, but he will be the person that takes a stun in most occasions. Or you might go more accuracy in this tree because you need it. Kind of depends what you need for your build. If you do bring a legendary in and you've got a 1-star blessing on them, bring Brimstone. It does a ton of damage. So my Razin here, we've kind of built out with Giant Slayer. I put that Brimstone on him. Ideally, you do get the decreased defense and weakened skill booked. Ideally, you get the A1 booked as well, because even if it's just his first two, the extra 25% damage from these two here is actually worth a lot to you. As I said, if you're going to bring someone like a Razin in, we need him to hit. Aethar, we don't need to hit. We need him to poison. Razin, we need him to actually physically hit. So you need your 100% crit rate. You want your accuracy up. Make sure I'm not in the way again. You want your defense high, and then you want your crit damage high. So the Optimiser is going to help you to do that. Savage Gear is a bit of a luxury. You don't really need it at all, to be fair, on Clan Boss, because Clan Boss doesn't have a naturally very high defense. So this will give you a bit of an extra bonus, but not essential at all. It's more about 100% crit rate, high defense, high crit damage, and then accuracy to do the work. I guess just to show you why Clan Boss is so good for the video, a shard, some crap gear. No, but you basically get shards every day. Not always good ones, but you get shards just about every day if you're double slamming Ultra Nightmare. And if your team's good enough to kill Nightmare as well, because you've put a bit of work into these builds, and you've got that kind of extra chance of more stuff from Nightmare as well. But generally, that's probably quite an unlucky haul for a day that you've just seen there. This is my normal team that I run. So it is a DEMYTHA comp that I run. We're going to set up a new one here for this. So first one we're going to try out is Aethar here. What's important? We are using Haikatoon's speed lead, so that 19% speed is added into our builds. We do need her to be at the front. Whoever your Force Affinity champion is needs to be higher in the turn order than Heiress, so that the Clan Boss sees them first. Yeah, that's the kind of two important things. Let's just do a setup here. So Haikatoon, just don't use this. I guess it kind of shows you literally the only reason she's in the team. I probably missaid this earlier. She's literally just there for a speed aura. So if you had Deacon, then obviously it's just way better. Seeker, we're going to open with the A1 and then prioritize your A2. Aethar, we're going to use your A2 whenever you can. Don't use your A3 at all because we've got reflex gear on. We're trying to get back to that A2 as quickly as we can. If there's only one skill to cool down, it will always go there when we get the cooldown benefit. DEMYTHA, we want to open with the A3. but prioritize the A2 and then the A3. And then we just need to do RS as well. RS. I think she's just got one delay. No delay, so she should just go straight into her A2. Okay, let's go. So what I'm looking for here, going back to this kind of speed tune, I'm looking to see if people are doing their abilities in the right order. So by turn count 4, we start to see DEMYTHA putting her block damage out at the end of each turn. That's what we're looking for. So early on, you can slow it down to ×1 speed. Make sure that people are doing their right abilities at the right time. But ultimately, it doesn't sink in properly until turn 4. You should see Ares removing any nasties. That shows us it's affinity friendly. So anytime he does his decrease accuracy here, that would be the equivalent of decreased speed for any other clan boss. Sorry, for spirit. And yeah, we just want to make sure that everyone's doing their stuff in the right order. So we're on turn count 4 now. At the end of this turn, we should see DEMYTHA do block damage. And then I'll be quite comfortable that this is going to be in sync. And you'll see we're getting plenty of poisons out already from Aethar. That's where all of our damage is coming from, other than perhaps our Warmaster hits. Block damage is out, which is cool. Ares should now cleanse. Cool. And then we just got to let it run and let Aethar burn his, or not burn, poison his way to kill this clan boss. Ultimately, with these builds, we want to be seeing at least a 3 key on Ultra Nightmare clan boss. I'm going to let it run. It will run till turn 50. And at turn 50, we will get our damage number. And then we will go again with the other 2 champs. Comment down below. Who do you think is going to do more damage? Aethar, Nishak, or Razin? Here we go. Without even trying on any builds apart from Seeker's. Yeah, Seeker's the only one who's got a good build here. Everyone else, I've just hit the minimum requirements. We had that poison debuff bar overflowing. We've lasted the 50 turns. The comp has worked perfectly. And 50 million in 50 turns without trying. Seeker worth 10 million of that damage. High Katoon 3.4 million with that gear. It's all just Warmaster hits. DEMYTHA 2.8 million, just Warmaster hits. RS procs a good 5. Aethar 28.5 million for the epic that lives in the vault. Actually pretty damn cool. What I would say here is, if you've just skipped all of the video to check the damage number, you've missed so many tips about how to build these teams, about how speed tuning works, about what to do when it fails, that you've wasted your day. Watch the video. This is actually a good video for you to learn how to do this stuff rather than just comment that it's not working. All right, let's check out somebody else. So we're going to drop the Aethar, the 50 million king. We're going to go with Nishak, who's basically the same type of champion. I think this is going to do. The only difference here is Nishak hits harder, and I've not really built him to hit that hard. I'm going to turn off his extra turn mechanic ability because we do not want him taking extra turns. I've not speed tuned for that. I don't need decrease attack, so that can go as well. We're just going to A1 this guy to death. Okay, away we go. Nishak in the mix. Let's see what he can do. I guess I'm not showing you all the setup and stuff like I did on the other one. I just want to show you the premise here. We've still got no drop defense. We've still got no weaken or anything. But every time these bombs pop from Nishak, they turn into double poisons. So pop, bit of damage from the bombs, and then hello, here's all the poisons you're ever going to need. So all he's doing is A1 in. He's also got brimstone on him, so we're going to get some nice juicy brimstone damage as well. And I'm interested to see if he outdoes that Aethar, because his A1 is doing Giant Slayer procs. He's got a triple hit A1. Yeah, lots of ways for him to bring damage to this party. Right, let's bring him in right at the end here. We've done 54 million, so a bit more damage per turn. I honestly think the only difference here in the 2 teams is that Nishak's got brimstone. I think everything else in terms of damage between him and Aethar is about the same. The poisons, we're getting a full debuff bar up anyway. There's really not any difference in damage other than brimstone. So Nishak comes in and he's brilliant. He's brilliant to do it. But, you know, don't ruin your Bommel team like I've just done for Nishak over Aethar, who lives in the vault, when actually they're both an easy 2 key. So the last one we're going to look at is Razin. And why Razin might be interesting here is he's actually going to boost the damage of everyone else in our team. So with Razin, you get your drop defense and weaken out, which means that everybody else's War Master hits just hit harder. So let's find my Razin, throw him in. I guess I should just tell it. Should do this anyway, but don't use your A3 and prioritize your A2. It will do that anyway, though. We don't have an increased defense here for Razin, so we're not getting any damage boost that way. All we're hoping for is that his decreased defense and weaken gives us more damage for every War Master hit that we put out there. So you see here, 34,000 is what we've been doing for the last 2 runs. Now we should see a step up. 70,000, almost double the amount of damage that we get out of a War Master hit. And everybody's doing War Master hits. So, and Razin does kick out some good damage. In fact, I'm going to stop this run and change Seeker now into that toxic build that I said about earlier. Yeah, so when you're running someone like a Razin, you've got no poison in your team at all. So you're gaining the benefit of the drop defense and weaken, but you definitely want to have somebody in toxic gear. And these 2 champions, High Cocoon and Seeker, are both running pretty damn slow. So it's almost like, why not? If you've got the gear sitting around, you should do it. So anyway, we're going to let this run. Let's see what Razin does compares to Nishak and Aethar. Unexpected, cool, surprise gift from this team, right? When Clan Boss hits you with a crit, and it's still a crit for 0, by the way, the passive of Seeker kicks in, and he gives your team increased defense. I've had, through a reasonable amount of this run, increased defense up on Razin, which is a big win, because it means that Razin does tons more damage. Look at that. He's doing 70k per pop on the A1 when that increased defense is up. But I didn't think that was going to be a possible thing. I was like, where is this buff coming from? How have I got increased defense in this team? Damn, it's actually super cool. Look, it's on again. It's on again. The crit for 0 over here. Proxy increased defense. And Razin is going to be slapping away right now again. So, a couple of things here. Obviously, this is way more damage. In fact, we're going to hit a 1 key, which I did not expect to see. This type of build, this type of team benefits from an account with slightly better gear. Okay, so my Razin is well built. My Seeker is now well built and in toxic gear. Yeah, so if you've got good gear, bringing in someone like a Razin to just do physical damage whilst also giving you that drop defense and weaken is going to be a massive damage boost for you. If you've got crap gear and you're just like scraping over the requirements, and someone like the Aethar is going to be better, where you just get consistent poison damage, all the time. But we have 1 keyed this with, I'd say, still a relatively budget team here. Like, okay, we've got decent gear and it is toxic gear now on Seeker. You will see the damage for Seeker has ramped up a ton because he's wearing that toxic gear. Razin is in decent gear. He's in, good gear. Stuff I had left over, but it's still crit cap, still decent crit damage. Even without the increased defense up, he's hitting for 40k a pop with that A1. And he's a good person to be bringing into this group, actually, if you've got him kind of like laying around doing nothing in your account. But, damn, that is the 3rd and final one done. It's the 1 key on Ultra Nightmare. And look at the difference here. So, as I said, Razin enhances the damage of everyone. Yeah, so we've now got High Cocoon with 6.4 mil. RS, nearly 10 million damage. Seeker, up to 26 million damage. That's like, he's obviously got the toxic bonus on that as well. Plus, he's just hitting harder with his physical hits because of Razin. And he's hitting harder with all those War Master hits. So for Seeker, that's like a 2.5 damage boost, bringing Razin in. And then Razin, up there, similar level of damage to Seeker. Basically 25 mil, but he is in good gear. So there you go, guys. The budget DEMYTHA comp. Obviously, you fill in the roles as you want to. But DEMYTHA is such an amazing champion to get on your account. She absolutely transforms this game for you because overnight, you unlock Ultra Nightmare Clan Boss. I've been Hell Hades. I'll see you later.